This is the 142nd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first week of July 2013. This episode is titled Bestees. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, cloud computing experts, and I am your host. Who is no, I'm not gonna try it again.
Let's try that again.
No, I'm not.
All right,
we're gonna keep going.
You're just gonna go.
Yeah,
all right, take...
warts and all, baby,
all right.
Warts and all.
So cloud computing, what?
Experts, not talking experts.
No,
you don't need to talk to be in the clouds. I am your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me clearly for the 142nd time, Justin Edelstein. Justin, how you doing?
I already interjected.
Yes.
And as you can tell, I'm doing just fine.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I'm enjoying this. I'm already correcting you.
It's really, really annoying. All right, we have an agenda today. We have a few follow-ups from our podcast last week and the blog post that went out today. There's another blog post that went out Monday.
Double it up.
Yeah.
Holiday weekend. People are going to be
right.
reading on the beach.
Exactly,
reading their blogs on the beach.
Exactly what you should be doing is reading.
Barbecuing, drinking beer, and reading blog posts.
Going to blog.arkusinc.com.
3 Bs of July 4th.
And reading up on the blogs. And then we have the big news really from last week, but we were talking about meetings because we had a good agenda about Salesforce and Oracle kissing and making up. So we'll talk about that. And then the new community launches, and we will try to talk about that without getting, well, we'll get there when we get there. And then we'll make our CloudFocus app pick of the week in the end. So let's kick it off with, first of all, there's 2 new blog posts up on the blog du jour. One is called Unorthodox Salesforce Email to Case. And you ask, why do I talk about this? Because this has been in the holding patterns. This is the blog master.
This has been in the editor room for quite some time.
It's been edited for a while.
You notice maybe a month or so back, there was a week where there was no Arkus blog. This was the post.
So
and it finally made it past my desk.
The editor signed off.
I signed off begrudgingly.
Signed off on it. So anyway,
get it out there.
It's an interesting one because it's talking about how to use email to case for other things than cases. So
right.
This is, I will say, go read it because it is really talking about really using it as a way of capturing emails into cases. So not emails that are turned into cases, but emails that are coming in, but using cases as a way to capture and respond to them as emails.
Right. Really in a group setting.
Right.
So that everyone knows what's going on instead of a mass email thing going into a blast box that everybody gets access to.
Right. Which is a very common thing. Back in the olden days, you would say, set me up with a, you'd set you up with an Outlook box that was like everybody, a shared inbox.
Put 12 people in it.
Right. And then you guess you just go by who read it because it's easy and cheap, really. So, but it's not very good for workflow. I remember one of our first Salesforce projects ever was actually replacing just an inbox. It was a Salesforce inbox.
It was a web form that submitted to an inbox.
That then they copied into an Excel spreadsheet.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's good.
We did web to case.
So that is called Unorthodox Salesforce Email to Case. And then I posted what I had hinted about last week, the Makings meeting.
Did an hour and a half of hinting.
Yeah, we hinted about it for an hour and a half.
Making
meetings meaningful, which I've already talked about most of it in that podcast last week. But
you have a couple of afterthoughts.
I have some afterthoughts because there's 2 things that have been ringing in my head that I didn't mention.
Oh,
really?
What were they?
Well, one is about meetings, and that things I would have said, but I just forgot, kind of because we were so in on certain topics and not on other topics. Anyway, the first one is being on time. We never really mentioned that being on time is a massive piece to a good meeting, is having people show up when they're supposed to show up. Yes.
Especially if it's a 2-person meeting or a call.
Yes.
Like if one person's just sitting there waiting. I've had this happen to me a couple times in the last
Maybe
week or so.
Today.
Maybe just this morning where I was waiting like 10 minutes for somebody to
And I know it's tough because people book back to back meetings, and so it's like literally I remember being in when we worked at that big company, my boss at the time used to be in the back-to-back meeting. But he was always
hard to even get on his calendar.
But he was consistently late. And he was consistently late because, A, the meeting would either end late or not because he had arrived late. But then he'd have to get to the next meeting. And sometimes the next meeting wasn't like, I mean, if it was in the same building, fine. But sometimes it was like in the other annex of the building. So it was like a 10-minute walk just to get from. So even if you left 10 minutes early from the meeting that you're in, you were just barely going to make it in the door. So it became kind of a cultural thing where people would just constantly wait for meetings.
That was a meeting culture of meeting in person as well.
Yes, everything was in person.
Even though you were all, you might be in a different building or across, like on a different floor or something. It was like, let's get a conference room and meet in person.
You would get chastised if you didn't show up in the meeting. If you dialed in. It was a joke, actually. There's some people who always dialed in, and you'd be like, literally, you're upstairs. Come on down. Anyway, so that was one. And then the other one was...
And you can't multitask.
The other one was... Right, well, that was the whole point. Good segue.
Thank you.
Good segue.
You're welcome.
Which is the hardest thing that... I mean, I certainly struggle with it. I know you struggle with it. But being here, being present in anything... And so being in the meeting, being present, just thinking about and doing what you're supposed to be doing in the meeting. And this myth, the multitasking myth, which actually could be its own podcast, of that I could be doing 17. No, you can't. You can only be doing one thing at a time. You can switch between 10 things at the same time, but you're really only doing one thing. Your brain's only going. And every study is now showing that whole idea that you can multitask. It's not. It's just your brain shifting from thing to thing to thing, and eventually loses context of the thing you were just on. So those people who show up to meetings or they're on a conference call and they come off mute because they just got called out and they're like, could you just repeat that question again because whatever?
You're a little low.
Yeah, you're a little low.
You're breaking up.
I couldn't hear you.
You on your cell phone?
That guy was doing something else, or gal was doing something. Anyway, so I think being present, and I would say take this into the rest of your life as well. I have found that, especially in modern day cell phone usage, like you sit in a restaurant with a human being or in a bar and you're hanging out and like, just put the phone away. You're sitting with a human. Spend time with the human and leave the technology for when you go to the bathroom or when you're done playing with the human. Then it should be human, then non-human, or maybe human, pet, then non-human. Like, well, maybe you can be on the cell phone with your cat. I don't care.
Then human, then all right.
So being present in a meeting and really paying attention.
Let's get to the news.
All right, let's get to the news.
Big news of the last week.
Yeah, I don't even know how to take this news.
Big news. Here's how we sort of broke it down in our agenda. We'll talk about the news about Salesforce and Oracle and their big 9-year renewed partnership. Which I have a take on what that really means.
I think that's why you're having a podcast, because you have a take on it.
And having Mark and Larry Ellison and Mark Benioff do, the big, they both did press releases, they both did like tweets, they both hopped on a press analyst call together, 45-minute call, and announced this thing. So they kind of buried the hatchet, I guess. And, basically Salesforce signed up to continue to use Oracle's database along with other elements of the Oracle stack for the next 9 years.
So, by the way, color me uninformed. I didn't know Oracle made hardware.
Yeah, when I said that too, we have our winners and losers here. And I was like, I think Dell's a big loser in this thing. And you're like, well, Dell makes the hardware. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that this agreement means that Salesforce is going to be ordering some of those big Exadata machines that Larry Ellison rolled out on stage a few years ago and said, here's your cloud.
Right.
And oddly enough, here's your cloud.
Right.
That's it.
It's
right
always
there on the stage.
It's always the joke. You can make fun of hardware, but everything that runs is running in some sort of hardware and is sitting on some until they actually put space stations with servers on them. They're all sitting somewhere.
Somewhere, physical.
But I think we should back up a little bit because the history of Mark Benioff and Larry Ellison is actually it's
hot and cold.
Well, it starts from mentorship. I mean, Mark Benioff worked for Larry Ellison, worked at Oracle, and became a big deal there, and then went and
one of the youngest executives in their history,
and then left with Larry Ellison's blessing to create, and Gary Olson was an investor and still is an investor.
Very early investor.
Very early, so he has good kickback on that. Then built Salesforce, and then over the years, I think Mark has obviously it was built on an Oracle platform as a database, but Mark has consistently, I think, moved away up until recently, but sort of used Oracle as an example of not being with it, not being cloud, not being whatever. He uses others.
The whipping boy, right?
Microsoft was one.
Microsoft was one. Oracle was another,
Right. There's the in crowd and there's the out. Like your Google, your Apple, you're in. Your Oracle, your Microsoft, you're out.
Right.
Or IBM, I think you throw in there.
He would even in his keynote speeches, he'd say, this is not cloud. And he'd put up a picture of this box.
Right.
The Oracle box.
Right.
The Exadata box that he tweeted about buying 50 of and how happy he was to buy those.
So this deal has that. It has the personality thing.
Well, it also has the thing that I think it was 2 years ago. Is it called Oracle World?
Oracle World, yeah.
Right, where Benioff paid $1 million to speak, and just before he was supposed to go on and do his keynote, they kicked him out.
Right. Well, they had heard that his content was going to be
I'm sure
rough.
His content was going to be pretty brutal.
Right.
Considering the message that Oracle was sending about how, at the same place, Oracle saying Salesforce is not truly cloud, which is kind of funny to even have them say that. Salesforce commingles your data with other customers' data. How could it possibly be secure?
Right.
Things of that nature.
Because it's sitting in an Oracle database.
Right. Poking at Salesforce, which is kind of poking at, like you said, themselves. Very odd relationship. So then Mark did his unconference thing, which got a lot of press at the W Hotel that year.
Right.
And it was this whole big thing. Here's Mark standing up and railing against, the, what do you call it? The false cloud.
The false
Beware
cloud.
The false cloud was kind of the thing that came out of that. So that was all history and background with these two guys. And, I listened to the first 10 minutes of the 45-minute press analyst call, and they could not be more cordial, buddy. Mark starts off by saying that, they made the absolute right decision 14 years ago in building their application on the Oracle Foundation database, and they couldn't be more happy about their relationship moving forward. And Larry Ellison said the same thing. Oracle made a lot of moves. They partnered with Salesforce. They partnered with NetSuite. They partnered with Microsoft. They partnered with a lot of people last week with their launch of their new database. So
I think it's interesting, though, more, I guess now it's for us to pick up the tea leaves and, again, talk about the winners and losers. So let's get into sort of who we think won and who we think lost from this. The winners, I think the two that are obvious are Oracle and Salesforce.
Oracle's the huge winner.
Well, they won rep, right? They got in with the fun crowd, I think. They also won from,
they've always been there. They just haven't been there like this.
Right.
They get to really now claim very publicly that they are the backbone of the cloud. Right? You can say, well, Salesforce is, application, and Salesforce can say, database.com and all this other stuff.
It's all running on Oracle.
Running on Oracle. Oracle runs the cloud. Right? They can say that kind of stuff now.
I think Salesforce wins because they saved a lot of money. This deal cut them a lot of money from what they were spending on Oracle hardware and software or whatever. And they spun it, and so I'm going to take them at their word that they're saving a bunch of money. They're making choices that are going to, again, there's cost cutting, and they get a relationship and a partnership that would probably be better. Meaning they're also going to allow the clouds connect. They're going to build. I guess what they're going to build is built-in integrations between their clouds.
That was what Larry Ellison was big on. He's point and click built-in integrations, which we'll have to
I have never seen. Have you seen a successful? Give me an example of a successful built-in integration between two systems like this.
The only one that I can think of that off the top of my head, and I'd have to think a little bit more about this, is the way that Google Apps are integrated into Salesforce.
Okay, I said successful.
It's pretty light, but it does work.
Yeah, it's very light, though.
It's really light, but it is a point click.
But that's not an integration. That's like a I don't even want to call it integration. Again, I was actually talking to a client this morning. We're talking about integration. I said integration can mean everything from a link inside a Salesforce org to a website. Ooh, I've integrated them, to a full-on blown, what we would talk about, an ETL tool moving millions of records in between, syncing them every 5 minutes of your life. Those are integrations. I've seen App Exchange products. I've seen, that actually bring data back and forth and move stuff. And I've never seen it at this scale and it be easy, because it's not easy. And if it were easy, everybody would do it.
They want to make this easy. And we've all seen, the demos of SAP records chattering. They want to see Oracle records chattering.
Okay.
Like your finance stuff.
So I think Oracle wins, Salesforce wins, and if you're a customer of both, I think you win.
Yeah, you probably win.
You win if you're a Salesforce customer, because in theory they're going to save money and they're not fighting this fight and they're going to have whatever. If you're an Oracle customer, well, then maybe your use of the Salesforce is going to be better. I think one of the interesting little pieces was now Oracle, when they buy companies, they would be buying all these companies who'd be Salesforce customers. They used to kick them off. They used to say, get off Salesforce, and then replace them with whatever their product is. Now they're not going to. That was one of the agreements, was that so Salesforce is not going to lose customers that Larry Ellison buys.
It's one of those, like, Oracle's winner, and Oracle in one sense is a winner, and in a little bitty way they're a loser. Like, their business is changing. The whole, like, Oracle Siebel CRM, they're sort of admitting defeat here.
I think so. Yeah. I think if you're an Oracle Siebel CRM person, maybe you're now saying, well, maybe I should switch over to Salesforce, because
right?
they are kind of,
it's just a better application,
right,
and it's sitting on the same, right, on the better hardware that I don't have to manage.
And the losers for this, well, I mean, there's many. Although again, it's like anything, like in the Apple ecosystem, when
it's a short term.
Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's a way to show when a big company, I was just about to make this analogy to Apple, when a big company decides to do what you're doing, like 1Password. So 1Password is a maker of a password syncing software, right? And Apple's putting that into iOS 7, that all passwords will sync between iCloud. And 1Password's been around for years and has done it very well and has built it out. At some point, when the company puts the attention and the PR and the marketing behind a feature set, and you already have that feature set, but you've done it better and more, then sometimes it actually helps you. I would say Conga. When the quotes came out, when creating a PDF quote from Salesforce inside of Salesforce, off an opportunity, I think we probably said, ooh, Conga must feel blah, blah, blah. The reality is Conga's so far ahead that that little tiny feature that I don't even know has a high adoption rate, at this point, it's like, so what? Not only did we know that Conga actually helped build it, so they got paid to do that or help do it, but it brought, I think, people to even understand, oh, you can do this, and maybe I want to do it better. Right. So I think for people like, so we're talking about Workday, Financial Force, Job Science, right? So Force.com platform-based, although Workday isn't.
Not.
But Job Science and Financial Force are.
But that's what Oracle does.
Right.
So, this whole integration piece, you're gonna have to think twice about some of these, like Job Science. I mean, Oracle bought Taleo, which is well beyond Job Science,
right?
And it's like, all right, are they gonna integrate that? I mean, that HR
that's the
management
thing.
stuff.
But if you're
that's good stuff.
But when you start looking at those platforms and you say, oh, should I go Oracle? I think then Workday, Job Science, and Financial Force will get to say, yeah, but look what we offer. Look how tightly we are integrated. And then you can actually compare something that it doesn't exist to something that exists. Or when that thing exists, my guess is it's not going to be at the level that these guys have done, especially Financial Force, which is 100% Force. Workday isn't, and Job Science. Job Science is, I think they use a back end for the processing of the images. Anyway, net. They process the resumes and they OCR them, and they use Amazon services to do that. So, but again, there's it then gives you a ability to talk against somebody else, and I bet you price point they're going to do much better. And then I think the two that I think really lose in this, one is one of their biggest customers, which is Dell. Weird how that's going to happen. I mean, I wonder if there's a side deal here. It just feels like, I mean, not only is Dell not doing well as a company, it's just not, right? They've tried to get into every market, tablets, Walkmans, everything. They just keep failing. And I think the commodity, computer business is dying, right? That's beyond the PC. And then Apple is just taking a chunk of everything else. Like they're in there selling laptops like crazy. I don't know people who own Dell laptops anymore, or buy from Dell. They basically buy Macs, and then if the tablets, they buy whatever. And Dell tried to get into smartphones, and it failed. So I feel like maybe it's just kind of saying, well, Dell, you're a great customer now, but eventually you won't be around. And then the one that I'm most interested in, because I talked about it before, and I made the prediction that this is where they were going, because there's an open source database software called PostgreSQL, that I used to use many years ago. And Salesforce went and hired a lot of PostgreSQL developers.
Some renowned ones.
And my theory was, I think they're moving to Postgres. They want to get off Oracle. They want to control their own destiny. They want to maintain their own thing, and they basically don't want to be subject to paying the fees and the licenses and whatever. Now looking back, probably a negotiation tactic, right? Look, we're hiring these guys. We can move off if we want. We probably have proofs of concepts of us moving off. We probably have this side pod over here, this dev pod we have running on Postgres Oracle. So you can't hold our feet to the fire anymore. My guess is that's what it was. But Postgres, if Salesforce had used Postgres as their backend, my goodness, that would have been an amazing boon for this open source software. And I think that would have been really, really cool. And so they kind of lost on that level. Although they're open source, so open source doesn't really matter to them because they're not making money off of it. But it would have been nice for that software. And good old software. It makes some splash. What are other things? What are other things you thought about it?
I just thought it was just an interesting announcement, partnership. To me, it was almost like, yeah, we're gonna just keep buying Oracle stuff. Like that's more to me what it sounded like than a partnership. To me, it was just like, yeah, we're gonna buy stuff. And instead of just buying stuff, we're gonna tell you that we're gonna buy stuff,
right? Because we've been doing this, by the way, the
whole time,
right?
So the whole partnership thing maybe comes in the whole click, integrate niceties. But
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, so it's all right. So you put in an order for 50 Exadata version, whatever they are at this point, and they're gonna upgrade to the newest database version that Oracle has, but haven't you already done that? I mean, fine, you didn't have Exadata, you had Dell servers in there, but okay, so you had a bigger purchase order this time. Like what's the partnership? That's where it came a little weird to me.
I think it feels like
just a big sale.
Yeah.
Right? Oracle missed all their numbers, I think 3 of the last 7 quarters. So it's like,
look,
right,
we're going to sell some stuff.
We're going to sell some stuff.
And Salesforce is doing so well.
Right.
And Salesforce maybe gets the, hey, we're around for the long time. For enterprises too, I think one of the things, I said this many podcasts ago, but I think one of the problems of moving to an open source database is that when the cities and Merrills and Deutsches and whatever, your clients come to you and say, well, what's your backend? Cloud Schmoud.
Oracle.
What are you running on? And you say, I'm running on Oracle. They go, oh, okay, fine. Yeah. They back away.
I can't wait to talk to our mutual friend who we used to work with at the big company that now works at Oracle.
Oh.
Can't wait to talk to him about this. I just want to hear his perspective on it.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there for you.
Richard?
Not for anybody else's.
I can say his first name.
Richard.
Richard. What is it?
Richard, the guy.
Yeah. Someone's going to be like, oh, Richard.
The guy who works at Oracle. I'd like to hear his perspective on it because he had some interesting perspectives on Salesforce.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, his product is always better. But he could go work for,
No, but he had interesting perspectives on Salesforce and security and this and that and the other.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear his perspective on it now that
it's more secure.
This is, well, to me, it's the same. It's like, all right, same old. Oracle backend.
Yeah. I just think it's a little bit more public.
Yeah.
And it'll go away, and who cares? And maybe just move on something else.
Maybe Larry will be at Dreamforce.
Maybe he will. He'll be leaving in the cloud. Yeah. I'm on the cloud.
Like, here's my cloud, and they'll roll it in.
He'll roll it in. I think that's sort of the thing. As someone who's been listening to the speeches, it feels a little bit like the guy who's been saying, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. And then you see him one day. It's like, I don't wear those types of shirts. And then you see him the next day and he's wearing that shirt. And you're like, really? Like, haven't you just been saying that this isn't this thing? So it feels a little bit like that with
From
Mark.
Larry Ellison's
No, from
perspective
Mark,
or from Mark's perspective?
From Benioff, yeah. That it's like, again, it seems a little bit more like a marketing rally, a marketing ploy than it was the reality of the situation to say, this is not a cloud and these are the false clouds. And when the reality is you run on that same stuff too. Now we can talk about architecture and whatever, but anyway, I don't care. I just want Salesforce to be successful and put all the money back. So all that money they save, put right back into the core and, build out those features that we keep yammering on and on and on about that.
Yammering or chattering?
Bad.
Speaking of chattering.
Speaking of chattering, good. That's two good segues for you.
At this today.
Yeah. Me, not so much. The new community launches. So the new community sites and success site. And to be honest, I'm just going to throw it out there. I've been pretty busy for the last 2 days. I've gone in and I've been followed by 1 million people, and I've tried to play around for 2 seconds, but I've maybe spent 30 minutes total in there. And I know you've been talking about it. I know people have been chatting about it. And I didn't realize how far it went to ideas and answers.
It's deep.
Yeah. So tell me what happened. Tell me what the heck happened.
I don't know what happened.
What do you mean you don't know what happened?
Well, I know what happened. I know what was supposed to happen. So the community, what we know of as answers and ideas and the blogs and even the app exchange, has slowly but surely, been more tightly integrated over the past year or so with single sign-on and stuff, things to get you in and out, and your profile is now the same. Well, over the weekend, it completely migrated to a community, a Salesforce community. So the next time you go to the Idea Exchange or the Answers community, you will be single signed in, and you will be sitting there in something that looks completely different to you because you'll have chatter.
Right.
You'll have obviously ideas, looks a little different, but still the same ideas product. You'll have answers with another completely different skin. And you'll have a little profile widget box thing on the top right. Your picture will be displayed a lot more public. With that said, it's a very good idea.
The theory is drink your own champagne.
It's a community.
Can I say drink your own dog food?
No.
I
don't
say
drink dog food.
Eat your own champagne.
You don't eat champagne unless it's frozen, but I don't think you can freeze it, can you?
Yeah, you can freeze anything.
Freeze champagne?
Yeah, you can freeze anything. I've frozen champagne in broken bottles in my freezer.
That sounds like fun.
Well, because you put it in there to chill it and you forget, and then boom.
Oh.
Actually, it's pretty hard.
Vodka doesn't freeze.
Vodka does freeze eventually.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Nitrogen. You can freeze anything.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
it's not in my freezer.
No. Well, your freezer's pretty
My
old.
freezer's from the Flintstones era.
I know exactly when your freezer was bought.
So anyway, I mean, it's a community, right? Just like they've been showing you on the stages and in the keynotes. Here's communities. Here it is.
I had inklings that this was coming because we had seen premos and stuff but I did not know it was going at this deep. I thought it was going sort of high level to this one other area and not deep this way.
The whole thing is completely done.
But why not Dreamforce? Why not the Dreamforce portal?
And that's where it gets lost on me. The Dreamforce portal is not. So now we have these groups here, and then we have the groups in the Dreamforce portal, and they seem like different communities. They're completely separate from one another.
They're definitely separate.
Profiles. I will say I have a few issues. I myself have 36 profiles.
You have 36?
You have 41.
You are
profiles.
nothing. I have 41 profiles.
And I know there's people with plenty more.
No, I think I win. 41's is a ton.
There's a lot of people with a lot of. Any consultant that has any of your active licenses.
So what it did, right? If you have a license that you're in any one of these orgs, it basically puts you in as a customer inside that org,
Correct.
Inside the big org,
right.
Which sort of I think is showing a little bit of something because all of a sudden
bit of a security hole.
It says customer, so I show up as most of the time as Jason Atwood customer.
Right.
A few of the times, if you search for me, you'll see some of my old logins, or they're not. By the way, they're not active because one of those is dead.
Yeah.
I know it's dead because I shut down that org. like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's a little weird. There's a lot of people who have multiples. I've been talking to a few of them. Some of them are like logging in with all their different logins and saying like changing their name to like do not follow.
Right.
Like people are doing that kind of thing so that you know to follow the right.
I just put my picture on the right one and then hope that everybody's going to figure that out.
The right one, and that's
and my title.
the one, right?
But if you want to follow all 41 of my profiles, go right ahead.
Free, whatever. There's some bugs. Like I bounce around, and sometimes my profile looks right, and sometimes it's wrong. The answers profile is still a little disconnected from the chatter profile. Like you think you're clicking on someone's name to land on their chatter feed, and you land in the answers thing, and then you can click on from there to get to their chatter feed. So it's still a little disconnected. They've moved the help and training stuff into there, which is kind of neat. You've been single signing on to the help and training now for a little while. Now you can get to it from there and do all the things that you would do from the help and training perspective. I still don't really love the single sign-on piece of it because I'm in and out of so many orgs. It's supposed to take your most recent open session. Right.
But this is a very, very unique situation for you. Most people do not have more than one org that they're ever logged in.
36.
I have 41.
I'm sure I have more that aren't there. So I don't know how they're going to reconcile that because really that's very difficult.
I don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to you're going to have, I would suppose you could go in and say take these ones out.
Rid of these, but that's got to be someone's like full-time job.
The full-time job as the community. I saw today, which I was I saw like just a couple things. One, I hit some answers or some ideas, and they were missing images.
Yeah, there's some issues with images.
And then answers were
because,
gone. Like, I landed on a Google result that I wanted to find.
Google results are not working very well. Like I landed on an App Exchange app. I clicked on it. I landed in like a blank page in the community. I mean, this is very new.
Boy, it's not taking over the App Exchange too, is it? I don't think so.
Oh, it was an answer that posted to an App Exchange product.
Because the App Exchange is now still separate. So Dreamforce here.
But it's your same login, though, for the App Exchange. But still, I landed on a few answers in Google that didn't bring me to the answer. Also, when you click on answers, it has like these... some filters, like it lands you in a place where you sort of like in this filtered view that you don't necessarily want to be in.
What did I get? What did I get that I like? I get one
chatter.
I get chatter.
Chatter's cool.
Inside of ideas
and all sorts of people that you may never. It's a Salesforce.
So to me, it feels like the Dreamforce org, which I've had forever.
Very much like the Dreamforce org, but bigger.
Because it's
with ideas and answers and every single Salesforce customer.
So do we need to have a CloudFocus Weekly podcast group?
We need a group in there. We certainly do. We have all of our clients are in there. Follow them. I've been following them like all day today. I was going in there. I'm like, who should I follow? Boom.
That's good.
Good
use of your time.
I've got some of our clients following me. I'm like, I got to follow them.
Can't you just respond to the email? Follow?
Oh, that'd be nice.
That'd be so good. Feature request. Idea. Follow. Refollow. Unfollow.
Something.
I still like bookmark and like. I use those all the time.
Like are good.
All right. So I mean, it's new. It looks. I mean, my complaint with these things. I know these are massive migrations and they take a ton of time and they plan. It does feel a little bit rushed in that. I don't know, stuff like missing images and things like that seem like just not well thought out or not executed well.
Sometimes when you move from one place to another, like the top right is where it's like an iconized version of your picture. It's either there or not. And then your profile stuff is either in it or not. So like you see like, I have this many ideas or this many answers. Sometimes it'll be blank. Sometimes it won't. And it's based on the context.
So if I'm in my org and logged in as I am, I can get into the community just by hitting help and training because that should log me into. Shouldn't it log me into help, which is in? You say now help is inside the community.
It is. That pops open a new window. It should.
It does.
Does it bring you over there? It should bring you over there.
But it brings me to one of my many, maybe not even the right.
You have to make sure that you're logged in because even that will have you logged in somewhere else.
This is not This is not
not
even
you.
it is me, but it's not me.
It's not you. Yeah,
It's one of me's.
the help definitely doesn't pop you over into the
Okay.
right place. Right?
Okay. So how do I get
Eventually
into
does,
it?
Well,
if I hit
no,
answers?
It does. If you hit the help and training and you're logged into your org,
I was,
in a
and I
browser
did.
that you've only been logged into your org,
I'm only logging to one org in this
then
browser.
it should take you right to the help and training, and then you should be in the community.
It did and didn't, but it brought me in. If I went then to answers, it then brought me back into the community.
Out?
No, but it brought me from help.salesforce over to success, and then success has
signs
them.
you back over in.
Right. And then they can see, my ideas and my stuff.
It takes
and
a while. I'm doing what you're doing now.
Yeah.
It kind of takes a little bit.
I like that known issues is under the success.
Yeah,
so
known issues should be in there.
But you can't chatter on them. There's no chattering or anything. It's just because one of the ones that I've been following forever. But anyway. All right. Well, I kind of want to poke around more before I sort of give you my full thing on it.
Yeah,
I feel like I do have. I guess with the Dreamforce portal, I always felt like I do have this place I can go that I can collaborate with people and have groups, and so this doesn't give me.
Well, this has all of that stuff.
But instead of having 90,000 people, it has what? Like I don't get it.
However many clients they have, however many logins they have, really.
Right, which is not clients.
More,
right,
way more than 90,000 Dreamforce people.
That's crazy.
It's a crazy thing. It's a big one.
So I need to go find
and it's a rough migration. I mean, you can tell it.
I mean, I like the little I will say I like the new profile screen for me, showing like me and like my answers, ideas, reviews and all that. That's kind of neat.
Yep. Little box.
I don't know how I don't feel like I know how to get his collaboration chatter.
What's your answers rank?
I don't think it. Salesforce edition. I don't know. I don't know how I get that.
If you're on your profile,
I see answers. I don't see my rank.
No, in your profile it should say.
So collaboration is when you get to chatter.
Oh, yeah, collaboration.
Why should I call it chatter?
Because it's collaboration.
Yeah, no, but I'm landed on a chatter page.
Yeah,
okay, I gotta follow Erica, Matt, who owes me a beer. Oh, there's a groups, True to the Core.
I've joined a lot of these already. I went in there and joined a bunch of groups and stuff.
Awesome tip of the day. Why do you not make us a group?
Because I wasn't sure if we should or shouldn't. Because we have one in the other place. It's like, how many different places can we possibly?
Well, we need a new group now.
Yeah, we need a couple.
All right, I will build it. Maybe I'll build my GTD group, which is very popular.
Very, very popular.
All right. Well,
I've bookmarked a post or two. The Chatter Adoption Official Group is a very good group. They post some really good resources and stuff.
Let's see. Total membership here. Oh, yeah. Cool. I feel like this is just... I just feel like this is going to become just like a copy of Dreamforce, and I don't know how they're going to do that. They need to merge them. But anyway, all right. So let's get to speaking of things we need to merge. Why don't we merge our?
Can I tweet
your CloudFocus app of the pick of the week? Why don't you merge that?
Links right to my Twitter. That was kind of neat.
Come on. CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Sorry, I was playing around in there.
Stop playing around.
CloudFocus app pick of the week.
I'll let you go first. I will say you're doing like been like Mr. Social app guy.
These little social apps. So my sister, I know I'm not like exactly breaking any ground here.
No. I heard about the new thing. MySpace is like all you can set these pages.
MySpace. So
AOL.
My sister, we were at Father's Day barbecue.
This was a couple weeks ago.
And we're at my sister has a dog and he's running around the backyard. And as dogs do when they're on grass, he starts to go to the bathroom. My sister pulls out her phone and starts taking a video of it. I'm like, what are you doing?
I think you just told me why I never need to go onto this site ever again.
Totally. This is why you never need to. But anyway, she's like, oh, I'm going to Vine it. I'm like, you're going to what it? I'm never going to Vine it. I know I'm not, for most listeners of this podcast, probably not breaking any new news here, but it's not that old.
But-
Vine.
No, it's not. But tell me, I'm not on Vine
Okay.
yet. But tell
So-
me why I want to be on Vine, other than
They're
pictures of your
actually-
dog
It's not
pooping.
pictures, it's video.
Video.
6-minute videos.
I know.
6-second videos, sorry, that loop. And you can like edit them together and they're kind of funny. Like people create some really creative videos that loop in 6 seconds because you can cut little pieces.
Right.
So like you can make little sounds and then make faces and change your face or do something weird. And in those 6 seconds, and then it loops over and over and over. And I've seen some really good ones. They have like editor's picks, that you can obviously follow people. And then you can include the editor's picks in your feed. And the editors pick like really good ones or funny ones. And when they're good, they're actually really good. They're like entertaining.
Right.
As opposed to people just, putting a video of a dog pooping in the backyard.
Over and over and over again.
Over and over and over and over again. It's like it just keeps looping every 6 seconds. I will say my sister actually has some pretty good ones. Like they're kind of funny, like with faces and sounds. Like she'll make silly face with making a sound, and then like cut to like her like making another face. Like you have to see them to sort of get what I'm talking about. But I found myself just like totally just because as you scroll through it, it just starts the next video. Then you scroll and it starts the next video, and you scroll and it's like Instagram but with videos. Although Instagram now has videos,
So
they're trying to catch up to Vine. They're like 13 seconds as opposed to 6 seconds.
You know what? Then it'll be like 5 minutes. It'll be like this new thing where you can post videos that are long and they have all stuff. It's called YouTube.
Right. Well, these are a little different.
I mean,
so anyway,
isn't a video a video? This is just
well,
a
this is
looping
not-
video.
Yeah, it's kind of what I would.
An animated GIF.
Yes, perfect. I would say it's a lot like an animated
Or
GIF
GIF, depending on where you come
with
from.
sound.
Animated GIF with sound,
With sound
looping forever.
that loops forever.
Awesome. So it's Vine. You're making
Very
your
popular.
pick. You're making
very
a-
popular, and I was like totally into it. The other night, I was like, "Oh man, I am like." It's like a half hour in, and I'm just still scrolling around in here. What
Here's
am I
the thing.
doing?
I'll check back in 2 months because you are like
This
you
is
like
gonna be
these
a big-
things.
this is gonna be a big thing.
Yeah. What's that one? That one.
I have
that-
not posted one thing.
Sports Yapper. How's that coming?
Not so good. Found that Twitter was just better for that than Sports Yammer.
Sports Yammer, Yapper, whatever it is.
Whatever.
All right. Well, that's
So,
lovely.
Vine,
Free.
free,
Android.
Don't
Apple.
even have a
no website.
It's all mobile.
It's like Pinterest with
Just on the
Vine,
phone,
with
though.
video and phone, and
Just on the phone.
Okay.
No iPad app.
So this is a pick I was going to
So
make.
thanks for just like crapping on it.
No,
Like
it's
a dog.
fine.
No, you haven't even tried it.
Pick a
You don't
video
even
of
know
me
what it is.
crapping on
Go like check
I will.
out because
I will.
I think you might actually find some of them funny.
I'm sure I will find them funny. I mean, I'm a big fan of memes, right? Internet memes,
Yeah.
and half of internet memes are looping videos.
That's right.
Right. So I get the funny of it. I just don't get the social. Like I don't.
It's
I
like
always think like
Instagram. Do you not use Instagram or get it? Or
I get Instagram. I've posted a few, but every time I'm about to post something, I'm like, why am I sharing this? Is there a reason? Am I just trying to be like whatever? I had a guy in a
Do you
bar.
do the same thing with Twitter? Why am I sharing this? Do you ask yourself that?
No, I
question?
do, and I think, okay, is it something really beautiful? I took a picture in Long Island City the other day of this. I used auto stitch and I made like a really big of the city. And it was a really nice picture, and I posted it to Twitter. I was like, views from Long Island City
I mean,
is
forget
cool.
pictures, forget video, just words. Like, why do you do anything?
I'm sharing something that I think other people would enjoy or is informative.
Same thing.
I don't think a dog pooping on a grass
find that
is
stuff funny.
informative.
Funny.
Funny, yeah. I guess
It's for entertainment.
I guess.
And your friends.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't do social networks for so much for entertainment as much as I do it for information. Maybe that's sort of,
That's just
like,
you.
so for like Pinterest, I have Pinterest. I use it for more.
I don't use it for anything.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I was like, this thing I don't get. I don't really.
There you
find
go.
it
I'm all into
interesting.
Pinterest. It's a fun place to go. Like I'm looking for camping gear, so I'll go through and now you search for camping. You find these pictures of like cool stuff, and then I just put it onto my own pin board, which is like I'm collecting a bunch of pictures that I'm looking to purchase or look at. Or when I was looking for watches, I just built
want
a watch
Delicious
board.
back.
Delicious.
Bring back Delicious. Social bookmarking. That's all I
that's
want.
it.
That's all Pinterest is. It's delicious with pictures.
Yeah, it is. It's not
It's like
groundbreaking.
links. but with images.
But sometimes when you're trying to find something, it's nice to go to a place that people have kind of curated it for you. You could just go to Google and say, search camping. But like this is like, it's a little bit more, people have sort of made comments and have made it better. Like people will do, I found one that was like cool camping gear for 2013. It was this pin board, and it basically was just tons and tons and tons of people linking to stuff. And it is sort of
a tailgating one.
There are.
Send that to me.
There are. Anyway, all right. Well, Vine, very awesome.
Log in with
your
Twitter.
Best pick ever.
Dude, just try it.
I'm going to.
Download it.
I can't wait.
Put it on your phone.
I will.
Log in with your Twitter
as soon
account.
As we leave.
And just, follow a few people and see what you see.
I can't wait. I will. I will try it. I try all of them. I'm literally on every social network. I try them all. Sometimes they stick. Sometimes I just forget it. Instagram, I forget about. Like I was going to take a picture. I would forget that I have Instagram.
Yeah, the only reason why I use Instagram is to get the pictures on. Like I'll do them on Instagram to then
put them into Facebook. Right.
That way they're and the comments and the likes and stuff can go back and forth. So it's kind of a nice integration.
All right. Well, I'm going to pick something totally
nice
different.
Integration.
What?
Instagram and Facebook.
There you go.
Would be owned by the same
because they were owned.
Facebook,
yeah.
But, what do you got here?
All right,
what
so
is this?
I'm picking a very strange thing.
This is super strange.
But I've been testing it for months. Unlike you, I actually test my stuff for months before actually picking it.
This is strange. What are you?
So I'm a big fan of LED of low cost lighting, right? Whatever at CFLs. So
Customer
the sort of
for life?
No, the lights you buy in your house that are low energy and better for the environment and whatever. And I've been buying them for years and years, and they've gone from being very expensive, like $10 a light, down to like very cheap. So now you can get them. But the problem with them have always been the CFLs is that they just have this color that's sort of off. And they're never as bright as like putting a nice big 100-watt light, like one of these, you used to have a light bulb. Now they never, so the color's always off, and they take a little bit to flicker on. They act a little bit different. And I put up with it because I'm like, I'm saving energy, and I'm also helping the planet because it's better for the they use 1/3 or 20% or 10% of the energy or something like that a regular light bulb is. So great. But I'm putting up with it. And then there's this technology that's coming out using not CFLs, but LEDs. So those LED little lights that are in flashlights that you know and love so much, right? But the problem with LEDs is their color, too, is very stark white. And it's sort of, you don't really want to light your room, your living room with these colors because they're very like prison cell lighting, right? If you think about the color of an LED. So they've been building this technology to sort of surround these LED lights, which are very, very low energy and very high output, but making them so they feel like old school lighting. So they came out, they've been a couple of them, and they've been very expensive. They've been like $100 a light bulb.
No, thank you.
Right. So I was reading up on one, and there was this.
Do they burn out?
No, they last for frickin' ever. They literally last forever.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I mean like
bucks
30
is not
years.
That bad.
Well, at $100 for your light bulbs or whatever. So this
it's
one
never gonna burn out.
This one came up. It got great reviews. It's 100 watts. So 100 watt, like it's very, very bright, which is great. So if you've had these lights and they're like not as bright as your old light was, it is very bright. It's like the sunlight. It's very, very bright. It's a great color. It's very low wattage, means only 23 watts. And it's only $33 or $37. I think I bought like 3 for $99. And I immediately went in and I replaced 3 of them in my house. And my wife walked in and she's like, within seconds, she's like, what's that? What happened to our living room? And I was like, what? And I was playing all coy. She's like, what happened? Something's off. She's like, it's so much brighter. It's so much nicer in here. What's going on? She noticed when there's 2 lights in the living room. She noticed within seconds. It's that nice of a light. It's really bright. And it turns on in a second. So it's like
you've been testing this for 3 months. What's happened to your electric bill? Anything?
My electric bill is more a subject of
air
conditioning and refrigeration and washer dryer than it is the lights. But it solved the one issue. My wife complained bitterly that while we use these CFLs, they're better for the internet, the environment.
The whole internet's better.
They
because
never
you're using these light bulbs.
They never looked very good. They always they were lower in light, and they took a little bit to turn on, which I could get over, but they never were as bright, and they never had the color.
I've never noticed your lighting being any different or off. Or
if you walk in now and you see these lights, they've been there for months, but whatever. You'd have to be in there a lot at night. Anywho, which thankfully you're not. Anyway, they're available at Lowe's. I'm going to post the link. They're called the Ultra Utilitech 100-watt warm white decorative light LED bulb. They're very bright. They're great. I've been testing them for months. I can now see the difference. Like in my den, I have two, one that is and one that isn't. I turn them both on. You'd be like, oh, I get the difference. They're great. I highly suggest them. So, and they're coming down in price. So like a year ago, they were about $100. Now they're down to like 35. Hopefully within another year, they'll be down to 15 or so. They're coming down the right path. So they're available at Lowe's online. I ordered them. They're great. I'm probably going to go buy 3 more and put them around the house because they're that nice. And that's it. All right. Well, that's it for the CloudFocus app picks of the week. And remember to go to blog.arkusinc.com for all the podcasts and all the blogs. Remember to go to the Dreamforce portal and maybe the new Success portal because we'll put up a group in there. So see if you can find that and get in. If you're the first member, you win nothing. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Arkus Inc. or Just Edelstein or Jason M. Atwood or on Facebook, Arkus Inc. or on Google+. Search for us. They still have not figured out how to give us an URL from Google+. We're on the LinkedIn. We're all over the place. And remember to subscribe in iTunes if you want to get the podcast weekly. Subscribe because you never know when we're going to put it out. Leave a review there. That would be great. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, as always, have a wonderful 4th of July if you live in the continental U.S. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Enjoy those cloudy days.